Alright guys, welcome to Subu Medicine, and today we'll be talking about the ascending tract, and this is one of the most important tracts that we have to discuss about it, okay? And the name of this tract is called Dorsal Column Medial Lemniscus, okay? And this is what we'll be talking about in this lecture, okay? So basically let's just quickly talk about what are tracts, right? That's what we'll be talking about first. So what are tracts? Tracts are simply, okay, basically what they're the bundles of actions that are bringing, okay, action potentials from the lower limb and bringing to the central nervous systems, or it's coming from the central nervous systems and bringing the peripheral nervous system. Basically, that's what's called tracts. And tracts are also called fasciculus, okay? They're simply bundles of, let's say, actions, all right? If I want to quickly emphasize what that means is, basically, if I quickly talk about this, look, what is this? If I talk about this, okay? So basically, let's say, if I need to get electrical impulses from, let's say this is some muscle fibers here, right? And it is coming from the lower limbs, all right, or upper limbs, and then it's going down here, okay? Because the cell bodies are located down here, all right? And then it's bringing the sensory afferent informations and bringing to the, what is this? Central nervous systems, okay? This is, okay, that information that is carrying and going to the central nervous system. This is what is called ascending tracts, okay? Because it's bringing the central nervous system. But if the nerve fibers are coming from the cell bodies of the central nervous system down here, okay, and is going downwards, okay, and going this way, we call them descending tracts, all right? These are descending tracts. So basically, these are just a bunch of, like, bundles of action that are just bringing, okay, nerve fibers up and down, okay? So these are what's called, tracts, all right? Now, after this, okay, today we'll be focusing on ascending tracts, not on the descending tracts. And even in the ascending tracts, there are two different types of tracts. One is called anterolateral, which is a spinothalamic tract, and other one is your dorsal column or posterior column tract, okay? And that's what we'll be focusing on, the posterior column. And remember, those posterior columns, what are they doing? They're bringing the sensory informations and then bringing to the central nervous systems, okay? And that's what we'll be talking about, all right? Now, what are those sensory informations that has been carried by this dorsal column? Remember, dorsal column tract are high velocity systems, meaning that, okay, they're carrying informations, okay, that contains such a very, very fast, meaning that, all right, and those are very, very fast fibers, all right? So what are those fast fibers? One of them are, let's say, fine touch, all right? This is called fine touch, all right? And other one is, okay, you have a 2-point discriminations. And what does this mean? What does 2-point discrimination means? Which basically means is that, okay, if you ask a person to close your eyes, and if you actually, place two objects at the same time, and you ask the patient if they can able to localize whether they have been touched by two objects or just one object, okay? That's what it's, and whether or not they can able to distinguish, okay? That is what's called 2-point discriminations, okay? And there's not only that, there's also other one, okay? What is called proprioceptions. And what is this? Proprioception. The proprioceptions, all right, which basically means is that, okay, for instance, awareness of, your locomotor systems, meaning that, okay, if I close my eyes and if I just move around my hands, I know where my hands are moving, okay? So basically, proprioception means the positions of my limbs, okay, where in the surface my limbs are located, okay? So you are aware of your positions of your limb. That's what's called proprioceptions, all right? Now, not only that, okay, even like vibrations, okay, vibrations. Not only this, okay, something called, okay, you can say stereoagnosia or simply say Graphisthesia. Okay, what is this? Means that, which basically means that, you know, if you close your eyes and, you know, and then you can able to see whether you can able to recognize certain shape or certain structures or certain numbers, okay, if certain numbers, if you can able to, like for example, let's say, if I could let's draw like 0, whether I can able to recognize, you know, someone else draw the 0 or not, okay? So ability to recognize, okay, on the skin, purely on the skin, if something is written, okay? So that is what is called this Graphisthesia. Okay, also stereoagnosia, that's what they call this, all right? So all this are very, very like fast fibers, all right? Not only this, these proprioceptions, okay, we call them, okay, these are usually, okay, because whenever we talk on the locomotor systems, usually we talk about this one, you know, very, very important concept, muscle spindles, all right? And then, because these are receptors, and other one is your Golgi Tandon organ, all right? And we'll talk about this. These are receptors, all right? And remember, as I said, these are very, very fast fibers, okay? Because they're bringing, they're bringing sensory informations, okay? And they are bringing sensory informations, and they're running through this dorsal column path, this dorsal column tract, and then bringing to the central nervous systems, okay? Remember, this fine touch and then 2-point discriminations, okay? They're special. Remember, whenever you have the fine touch or 2-point discrimination, there has to be a certain type of like transducer or receptor to convert this mechanical, because remember, touching something is mechanical, right? Convert that into mechanical into electrical. So that way the electrical impulses can go through these bundles of actions and then report to the central nervous systems, okay? So there has to be the receptor present, okay? So that's just why, okay, usually this fine touch, 2-point discriminations, that is happening where? In cutaneous area, right? In skin, okay? And the special receptors are located here, and we call this, especially for this fine touch and 2-point discriminations, we call them a Meissner. Okay, what do you call them? We call them a, this is called, you know, Meissner corpuscles, all right? That's what. And these are fine touch, and then these are 2-point discriminations, okay? And these are usually like, you know, very, very like strong, like very fast fibers. And these fibers are, you know, this carrying, this nerve fiber that carrying, we call them, okay, it's A beta fibers, all right? A beta fibers. Because usually there is a, okay, A, B, and then C fibers. And these fibers, A, B, C, they are named based on their myelinations, okay? These A's are heavily myelinated, betas are slightly myelinated, C's are like, you know, very slow or not at all myelinated, okay? And this A also has like a further divisions, like there's A alpha, there's A beta, okay? So this is the A beta fibers, okay, which is a fine touch and 2-point discriminations that are carrying a sensory information, okay? Their velocity is very, very fast. It's about like 90 to 120 meters per second, okay? It's very, very fast fibers, all right? And whenever we talk about proprioception, you see this proprioception right here? Okay, we're talking about this Golgi tendon organ. Look, you see these muscles right here? Yeah, this is muscles, okay? And you see this right here? Okay, I can simply make this as look, I can make this as a, let's make a cross sections of this, okay? Let's say this is a bone right here, okay? And then what is connecting is the Golgi tendons. And if I make this, let's say this is a Golgi tendon here. If I just cut this part, and this is going to be Golgi tendon right here, connecting the bones, right? This is called muscle spindles, okay? And this muscle, what are muscle spindles? this muscle spindles are the one, they can actually detect a stretch because they have the stretch receptors, okay? So they can detect a stretch, okay? And there are different types of like nuclear bags and all that kind of stuff too. But for now, just know that they react with a stretch, okay? So these are called stretch, or you can simply say stretch receptor right here, okay? And these are, okay, these are carried by, okay, look, carried by, we can simply say Roman number 1A fibers, and you have to remember this, okay? It's a 1A. Whenever we're talking about the proprioceptions, they're talking about the locomotor systems, okay? You're talking about the skeletal muscles, all right? And remember, these muscle spindles are located in interfusals, okay? Because they're located inside, and the outside, what we call them, extrafusals, okay? And these muscle spindles are stress receptor. These stress receptors, whenever they get stretched, they detect by these 1A fibers, okay? And these Golgi tendons, okay, this is a Golgi tendon right here, this part, okay? This is react by, okay, whenever, let's say, whenever you're lifting a weight, let's say when you're lifting, what is going to happen? The sarcomere gets shortened, right? Because you're trying to contract the muscle. So when muscle get contracted, what is going to happen? Sarcomere gets shorter, right? So that, okay, that shortening of that, okay, causes what? Tension to develop, right? That is detected by this receptors. We call them, okay, Golgi tendon organ, all right? And that is carried by, look, Raman, but the B fibers, okay? So they are bringing, okay, sensory informations, all right? Sensory information, this one. And these are, look, do not get confused. All the muscles, okay, this bringing this afferent, meaning, look, afferent, sensory informations, okay? This is, remember, A as, you can think of A as ascending tracts, okay? And arriving to the central nervous system. So these are very, very fast fibers, okay? They're bringing this sensory informations, okay, to the dorsal column. And they're the dorsal column, because these are basically, because these are very, very fast fibers, okay? Not only that, look at these vibrations and this, even like very heavy pressures, okay? And where is this located? These are usually located in the, like subcutaneous tissue. Okay, there's special receptor located there. We call them Pacinian corpuscles, okay? They're also called laminated corpuscles, okay? And these are, looks like this. It's called Pacinian, okay? Pacinian corpuscle, okay? They also call laminated corpuscles, okay? Basically what they do is they are very, very important for detecting heavy pressures and then vibration, heavy pressures and vibrations, okay? And this receptor, because these are all mechanical, right? The Meissner corpuscles, which are very, very important, okay? And these are located in skin, lips, okay? And then hairless portion area, okay? They can very, very important for detecting fine touch and two-point discriminations, okay? And then these Pacinian corpuscles, which are located in the subcutaneous tissues, they are very, very important for detecting this heavy pressures and vibration. Okay, what they do, and then this, let's say these Golgi tendons, all right, and then these muscle spindles, Pacinian corpuscles, and this Meissner corpuscle, they are receptor. They are this tactile receptor. What they do is that these are all mechanical. These are all receptors. Okay. What they do is they convert mechanical, okay, mechanical kinetics, mechanical movements into electrical, and they bring electrical impulses and bring it to the central nervous system. Okay. And remember, as I said, these fibers are very, very fast fibers, okay? And whenever you see these Roman numbers like 1A, 1B, always think about, okay? You can think about they're talking, it's probably the fiber that has to do with skeletal muscles, okay? And whenever you see like letters like A, B, you can think about skin fibers, okay? So again, these guys, all right, all of them are bringing the sensory informations, all right, sensory informations, and bringing to this dorsal column, okay? All right, so remember, there's also another tract, as I said, this anterolateral spinal thalamic tract. Those are a little slower touch, okay? They are very, very slow when it comes about their velocity, okay? They are very, very important for detecting crude touch, okay? So we'll talk about that in anterolateral systems, but you have to know the fine touch, 2-point discrimination, proprioceptions, vibrations, and heavy pressure, the ability to recognize, okay, the purely by skin of the recognitions of the textures or the numbers or the letters, okay, that is also has to do with the dorsal medial this tract, and then the same thing applies to muscle spindles and also the Golgi tendons, okay. Now they're bringing these informations, right, to this dorsal medial lemniscus. But before we go there, okay, let's quickly talk about, okay, let's quickly talk about the anatomy of the, okay, this spinal cord, okay. So you see this is my brain right here, right? Like this is a brain. This is going to be midbrain right here, okay, and this is going to be pons right here, medulla, right? This is going to be cerebellum, and this is going to be spinal cord, right? This is my spinal cord. This is a cross sections of the spinal cord, okay? This is a cross sections of the spinal cord here, and I only drew 2 of them because this is, you can think about this is let's say cervical, okay, and you can think of this as a lumbar, okay. Now, and this is a cross section, and whenever we take the cross sections of the spinal cord, okay, what you see is you see kind of look like this, okay, and you see this right here, okay, we call this right here, okay, this area right here, we call them a posterior part, right, and then this we call them anterior part, or you can simply call this a ventral part, okay, this is a ventral and this is a posterior, or you can also call them a dorsal, okay, dorsal, because it is very important. This, because any information, any sensory information that are they're coming through, okay, this posterior column, okay, or this dorsal column, they're bringing the sensory informations here, okay, and remember, these guys right here, this is called posterior, actually this is called posterior horn. This posterior horn right here, this posterior horn contains the sensory nuclei, okay, and these nuclei are basically what they're cell bodies, okay. That is why we call them a posterior horn, which are important for the sensory informations, and this ventral horn, okay, they have a nuclei or cell bodies for the motor neurons, okay, because they have neurons they have the cell bodies for the motor neurons, we call them okay, this is a motor neuron system, this is a sensory neuron system. So these are your gray matters, because these are gray matters for the motor neurons, and these are the gray matter for the sensory nucleus, okay. So basically this whole, the posterior horn and ventral horn, they contain cell bodies. They contain cell body for sensory informations, and they also sensory information which are located in the posterior horn, and they also locate there are also cell bodies in this ventral horn, okay, the ventral, so which are the motor, okay, and these inside we call them the gray matter. So whenever next time when you hear the word gray matter, think about the gray matter is the one that contains what? Cell bodies or nuclei. That's what you have to think about, right? And they're divided into 2 parts, posterior horns and then ventral horn, all right? Now, then after that, look, you see this outside right here, this whole part right here, okay? This is, because this is posterior, this part is called posterior column, okay? And right here, this part, like all this area right here, this is because this is called lateral. And down here, this is called anterior, okay? So this is called dorsal column, or you can call them a posterior column. This is called lateral column, and this is called anterior column. And this is just a white matter. So remember, these are white matter. The reason why we call them white matters is because there's a bunch of like axons are going there, okay? Bunch of this tract are going there, okay? And here, okay, this especially from this posterior column, there's only ascending tracts goes there, and that is your dorsal column tracts goes there, okay? So that's, you have to remember that, all right? But whenever we talk about this lateral column right here, or this anterior column, you can see here both anterior fibers, anterior axons, and also descending fibers or descending tracts fibers. Same goes for the here, okay? But in here, you can only see in the dorsal column, you only see the information, sensory information that is going upwards, okay? This is the anatomy of this gray matter. And remember, this is going to be like here. This is it's going to be midbrain right here. This is going to be pons, this is going to be medulla, this is going to be pons, this is going to be midbrain, and this is going to be cerebral cortex down here, right? It's going to be so this is going to be cerebral cortex right here, right? Now after this little anatomy, we have to talk about this, okay? Let's talk about this. Let's say all these guys, okay, from like fine touch, all right? From this, all this, they're bringing sensory information. So we can simply say like, okay, like fine touch right here, okay? And we can simply 2-point discriminations right here, okay? Vibrations from all these Golgi tendons right here. Okay, they're all bringing sensory information, right? They're bringing sensory information. So whenever they're bringing sensory information, what is going to happen here is that, okay, look, they bring all the sensory information. And what they do is, you know, they will synapse at this place called first, okay, first neuron, okay? What does that mean? Basically means that they'll bring the sensory information, and here, you know, what is the you see is that there's a small ganglia right here, which is called dorsal root ganglia, okay? And this is there's a dorsal root ganglia, okay? And it's a pseudo unipolar, okay? Because it is bringing this peripheral, we call them what is a peripheral information, and synapsing at this first neurons, okay? And then after that, this neuron that comes from down here, we call them a central neurons, okay? So this is dorsal root ganglia is the first neuron, okay? And then there's a relaying the information here down here, okay? That's the first thing they do. All this information, okay, from the locomotor systems. So that is what's going to happen here. So first, let's say, okay, you know, this thing, okay, all this are coming from, let's say, a level of, this is something you have to remember, a level of, let's say, you have a T6 and downward. Okay, what is T6 and downward? This is spinal cord segment, okay? From the spinal cord, okay, at the level of T6 and downwards, okay, that is bringing all the information, sensory informations, proprioception, 2-point discrimination, all the way, that's going to bring from the, let's say, lower part of your body, okay, that's bringing the informations. And when that brings the informations, okay, that's going to synapse at dorsal root ganglia, and what is going to happen is that these informations will go down here. They'll go down here like this, and they'll go, remember, they'll go down like this, right here, okay? And they won't synapse, okay? So remember, this is bringing sensory information, and they'll bring like this, and then after what is going to happen is that they'll go like this, okay? They'll make a turn and they'll start moving upwards. And if you see, and below the T6 and downwards, if you do a cross sections of this, okay, this is probably going to be, let's say, lumbar regions right here. You see this right here? There's a column right here, okay? And there are different types of column you get to see here. But below the level of T6 level, there's special type of column you see. These are posterior column, you guys, right? But what especially you see here is that something called, okay, because this is happening posterior, okay, they are called, okay, this is called fasciculus, okay, gracilis, okay? You see this, okay? This column, specifically from the level of T6 and downwards, okay, you see this column, and these columns are called fasciculus gracilis, okay? You see that, and from the fibers, okay, they started coming down like this, okay? Fasciculus gracilis. Remember, when the fibers comes, okay, they always move medially, and then goes like lateral. Like for example, okay, let's say, because the way this works is that, okay, if I touch, if there's a touch happening in my, let's say, my feet, okay, the feet fiber that is going to go and then go to this gracilis. So you see the fibers of the feet would be in the more medially located right here, okay? So this, let's say this is the right side and this is the left side, okay? And then let's say if there's a touch on my thigh area, so there'll be thigh area will be right here, okay? So that's, and then from the more you upper body fiber forms, more you move proximal, it's gonna start moving more laterally. So that's how this bundle of fibers moves upwards, okay? Now, as you move upward, okay, and from the level of, like, let's say T5 and upwards, okay? T5 and upward from the spinal cord, this is where you get to see the nerve fibers that is coming from the upper limbs, okay? And what is going to happen is this fiber is moving down here, okay? And then you see another column too. Look, this is, you already know, the two column here, okay? This is going to be your gracilis, okay? And above the level of T5 and upwards, you see another column, okay? And this is called fasciculus cutaneus, fasciculus cuneatus. Remember, guys, you do not see fasciculus cuneatus below the T6 regions of the spinal cord, okay? You see from the T5 and up, you started seeing this fasciculus cuneatus. So remember, this fibers is going upward like this, okay? Okay, let's move this. Bringing this upwards like this, all right? And then as you move, let's say, as you move coming from downwards to upward, more fibers will start like attaching, okay? Let's say if I'm, okay, let's simply say, now all this area, okay, now let's say we're in the level T5 and upwards, and all these proprioceptions, fibers are coming from your hand and all. So what is going to happen? Look, then you start adding, okay, more fiber that start moving laterally like this, okay? And that's going to be a bunch of action. Bunch of these fibers start adding, like from medially, laterally, okay, so it's going to start adding more towards lateral side, okay? As this fiber comes from like lower to upper, they're going to start, the fibers is going to start lining up laterally. Okay, that's what you have to remember. I hope you got this point because this is a very important concept. Let me make this again easier. Let's say this is my brain right here, okay? If I make this, look, if the nerve fibers, if this is my spinal cord right here, like, okay, if this is coming from my legs right here, okay, this fiber, let's say this is medially, what is going to happen? This is coming from my feet, okay? Maybe this fibers will come from like thigh right here, okay? And this is going to be my leg trunk right here, okay? And then let's say this is from my shoulder, arm, like, see, this is how it'll move upwards. Okay, that is how it's going to move upwards, all right? Now, as this fiber moving upwards, okay? And as I said, remember, guys, below the T6 levels, okay, you do not see the fasciculus cuneatus, okay? You only see fasciculus gracilis. So remember, the fasciculus gracilis is going to be the longest tract because it's coming from all the nerve head and bringing it to central nervous systems, okay? The fasciculus cuneatus, that is actually bringing the collections of the fibers that is coming from the T5 and upward regions, okay? So that is why this fasciculus cuneatus has the informations, okay, the collections of the informations from the level of T5 and upwards. Fasciculus gracilis have informations from the lower part of the body, okay, from the T6 and down below, okay? They carry these collections of the informations and then bringing to the fasciculus gracilis from all the way down from the body, from T6 to below, okay? So as this goes, and this is, look, this is lumbar and cervical regions. And remember, this is very, very important to also distinguish what is the difference between cervical and also lumbar. Remember, cervical has a larger ventral horn, and your lumbar has a little bit like, it looks more like a narrower ventral horn. And they also have sometimes, they have something called, lateral horn or intermediate horn too, okay? And we'll talk about that, the concept of that too, in some other part of the lectures. So anyways, so this bringing the informations, okay, from the hand, and now you started seeing cuneatus too, okay? Remember, this is bringing the information right here, right? So as it's bringing information right here, okay, it is going to go upwards and it's going to go to the medulla.